Hey there, I'm Shayan Rastgou. I'm one of the co-founders and founding engineer of AskCipher. In efficiency as a whole, I've been 4 years would be September, but we started AskCipher about 17 months ago. As a founding engineer, I'm in charge of the architecture and the development of both the platform as well as the AI that powers the AskCipher software. In terms of a day-to-day, there really isn't a typical one every day. It has something new for me, and really the majority of the work we decide and prioritize and strategize as they come to us. The best way I can introduce AskCipher is by calling it like ChatGPT or Claude, but for work. Not in the sense that it has a different type of technology, but in the sense that it has the knowledge that you require for you to be able to do your work in the industry and in the software that you use every day. So for example, the same software process, let's say job costing or even delivering a sales order and turning it into a vendor bill, might be the same process in software, but each industry approaches it differently. And none of the existing consumer AIs like Claude, like ChatGPT, actually come with that knowledge. This is the type of knowledge that a firm like us would gather from 20, 30 years of consulting experience of efficiency, of our other sister firms that have done so many implementations in NetSuite and Salesforce and all the different business applications. And then you can use Cypher in short that when you say, the jargon, the day-to-day language, the process that you want to achieve in the biz app or the business application that you use, Cypher knows and recognizes it and does it correctly as per your organization's standards and procedures, and is reliably doing so, right? So if you ask Claude, for example, to do it, it'll take, for example, half an hour and burn a lot of tokens and a lot of your usage capacity to figure it out. And that act of figuring out might actually cause you to register a wrong contract, right? Or send the wrong documentation to another party. Whereas Cypher's already been trained to achieve this reliably and efficiently. There are several different ways that AI implementation can really benefit an enterprise. One of them would be by increasing the efficiency of processes. So for example, in the case of efficiency or a firm that implements a business software, so let's say Salesforce as an implementation, a work without AI that would normally take maybe 6 months can be cut down to 4 months with the support of AI. That time saved would be the efficiency that the firm implementing it would actually be able to save in terms of their margins. On the other hand, AI actually allows teams to produce a higher quality set of work. So this is based on recent research that has come both out of Google DeepMind and as well from several enterprises over the last year that have implemented AI, where we see where teams that have a gap, for example, in a field that is not their specialization can use AI to produce a better result. So for example, a marketing team that is less technical can use the AI implementation to actually produce a more well-rounded solution for the campaign that they want to deliver. And then lastly, AI has the ability, with proper planning and proper context management, has the ability to work when we are not able to work. As humans, eventually we need to sleep, we need to stop working and have work-life balance sometimes. But when you set up the AI and implement it correctly in the business and give it the right context and the right guidance, then you can trust that meanwhile you're sleeping, it's doing the right job, and you can come back to actual work being performed for your business. So definitely, hallucinations are an inherent part of how LLMs work. As an enterprise leader, I think it's really important to understand and recognize why hallucinations occur and what is their significance, and how you should mitigate their impact in your business. Hallucinations are assertions from the LLM when it's produced a set of language and it doesn't really know what it's producing, right? An LLM is just a probability machine. It produces language instead of numbers, and both of them are really data types that a model or a transformer is receiving as input and then producing as output. So let's take a step back and talk about how LLMs actually generate language, right? LLMs are probability machines that receive a set of input in the form of words and language and produce a set of output in the form of words and language. And really the mechanism they do this by is by understanding the context of the sentence that is given, the value of each word, of each letter, the punctuations, and then seeing what is the most probable set of words that should come after the input that you've given it that matches the context. That's really how LLMs work. Now, what's really curious is that when they study how our brains produce language through our Broca's and Wernicke's areas in our brain, it's very similar to how LLMs and transformers generate language as well. Now, both of these are probabilistic systems. A probabilistic system is different from software in the sense that in a written piece of software, in a traditional SaaS, any code, any products that you're interacting with has a start and has a deterministic end. So if you click on a button, the result must always be the same way, otherwise it's a bug. However, that's not the case anymore with LLMs, because anytime you give it an input, the result might be slightly different. In that sense, so is our brains and so is how neurons work. Neurons, in essence, are a 0-1 gated machinery. Neurons have a minimum activation level, which is called the action potential. So basically, either a neuron gets activated or it doesn't. So that, very much like a CPU's transistor, which has a existence or lack of existence of electron, is a 0-1 gate. So then we're creating this hypothesis, basically, that the underlying mechanism that allows LLMs to use GPUs and CPUs to generate words is very similar to the way that our brains do. And now we just said that LLMs hallucinate as a part of their nature, right? They're inherently about to hallucinate because they're a probability machine. So are our brains, so do we, right? So does the human brain, and we hallucinate all the time. And it's not just language or, the visual hallucinations that we call different disorders, right? Imagine walking down the street and you think you saw like a movement in the periphery of your vision. That the jump that you get, the fear that you get, is a hallucination. It's your peripheral perception system misunderstanding, taking in data, and then giving you and asserting that this is the wrong output, right? And saying that, for example, this is a snake, and then you jump. You look at it, you realize it's not so. So all of this to say is that hallucinations aren't bad. Hallucinations are the requirement, actually, for creativity. If you look back into the research that Google DeepMind did, for example, their AlphaGo machine, the thing that brought it to the top tier of academic research was the fact that it did a move that no human would ever do in that situation. And everybody was flabbergasted. That in itself, so the AlphaGo machine uses transformers, that in a sense was a hallucination. But in an equally true sense was creativity. Okay, so all of this to say, hallucinations are not bad. So at an enterprise level, what do you do with hallucinations? Eventually, hallucinations will get less and less, but they will never be zero. So you should always establish systems around processes that require hallucinations to be at the minimum, and then allow hallucinations to happen in situations that they should. So for example, if you have a creative arm in your business, that's a situation where you shouldn't worry about hallucination. Get the model, implement it as is, and let it do its job. Whereas when you're working with data, then you need to put verification rounds on top of your agent's work. There's nothing else that actually works as well as asking the agent to redo the work and check for its own mistakes. That is the easiest way to mitigate hallucinations. So instead of investing or buying different software that adds a lot of different overhead on top of your work, just establish a portfolio or establish a workflow that just checks your results for mistakes. Just like how we would as humans when we're doing work. So really the takeaway here is that hallucinations aren't bad, you just gotta accept them and work with them in what they bring. I think in 5 years, at least 80% of all we do at work will be transmitted via agents, and at least 80% of that will be transmitted verbally, not even via written text. So very soon we're gonna have agentic ecosystems, right? Like we started at LLMs and we went to chatbots and we became agents. Eventually, we're gonna have ecosystems of agents that work together, right? So you would have, for example, your personal agents, like a ChatGPT, talk to the work agent, like the AskCipher, right? So you're walking down the street, and instead of having to type out everything, ChatGPT knows you better. So you say, hey, go tell Cypher to do this at work. ChatGPT would understand the context, add some information there, add it to Cypher. Cypher would understand the work context, do the job for you. And then a lot of that is going to get propagated in the same way. Maybe you have an agent that's going to be in charge of the marketing creative aspects. You're going to have a sub-agent to that agent that's going to be in charge of the technical aspects of the marketing. So it's all going to be a lot of agents working together in different workplaces. I think verification and auditability are the most two important parts of agentic implementation in a business. What really matters is for you to be confident that A, if the AI does something that it's not supposed to do, you can immediately catch and undo it. And B, the AI is less likely to do something that it's not supposed to do. In the implementation, we shouldn't have AI to be the end-all be-all data producer, right? You should have the AI with a human in the loop flow, for example, where it does a job, asks you for confirmation, asks you for verification, and then once you trust it and you generate enough knowledge for it to constantly and reliably be able to follow the process, then you, for example, can remove yourself from the loop a little more, but always you should actually have your AIs verify their own work for mistakes. And I think as humans, we tend to just go for the number 3. That's a very good number for a number of times you should get your AI to check itself, especially when data like numbers are involved. On the other hand, it's easy to abuse AI, right? There's a lot of tasks that, for example, may need software. They don't need a discretionary AI sitting on top using tokens. So in a workplace, it's really important to talk to subject matter experts and separate processes that are deterministic versus processes that require discretion. Things that are deterministic, at the end of the day, will be cheaper to be done via traditional software. You could have an AI that develops a simple solution for you that is a software. But because software doesn't use tokens, it's always going to be easier and faster to do. On the other hand, if you have processes that have discretion, then you can bring AI to really unlock the ROI of the process. And whenever discretion is required, I would say there should be human supervision to then ratify the decisions and assumptions that an AI makes. It really goes back to one of the oldest sayings in machine learning and modeling, which says, garbage in, garbage out. At the end of the day, LLMs are models that require data to then process based on their training and provide other data. If you give them inefficient context and not stop them from making assumptions, then more likely you're going to get subpar results. Data in the LLM sense has changed definition, right? When we were thinking in big data, it would be numbers and code and massive spreadsheets. In the LLM world, data is just context. It's being able to package the problem that you have, the constraints that you have, and the results that you want in good language, and being able to transmit that verbally to the AI that you want to communicate with. In the implementation, now, if you expand this concept to a business, that context becomes the day-to-day and the how-tos that live in the brains of all the executives of the business. So optimal implementation of AI using proper data in a business context requires experts to sit with the subject matter experts, with the executives, with the people who carry the business on their shoulders, to be able to codify their processes and then separate between what needs to be software and what needs to be AI to actually implement and receive the maximal value from an agentic implementation. I think we're at a very pivotal moment in the history of enterprises and workplaces evolving to the new era of AIs in the workplace. But we're still seeing a lot of problems, like, for example, news of CEOs waking up with millions of dollars of token costs, or not receiving the actual ROI that was promised before implementing the AI. A lot of that is happening because the consumer AI providers like Claude, like ChatGPT, haven't provided the training, the context, the data that your AI needs to be effective at work. Whereas with AskCipher, we've actually spent the last 2 years training the AI's brain and developing a malleable, powerful enough agentic brain where AskCipher can resolve your simple requests without you having to go in depth into all the context that is required from your industry, from your department, from your business, from all the policies that your business requires, from the processes that the business application requires, from all the customizations that you've done on the business application, to put it all together and then achieve the result that you want reliably and in a timely fashion. And that's why in practice, really AskCipher is going to become the cheaper implementation for your business, because you don't have to spend those millions of tokens training it on things that it already should know. So that's why any enterprise and business owner would be better off using AskCipher compared to any other enterprise AI application.